Welcome to the WPH Deep Dive. I'm David Fink alongside 21-time women's race freight champion Catriona Casey. Catriona, you've built the best record in the history of handball, 21 titles in 23 starts on the women's race freight tour. What is it that keeps the passion going for you?
Oh, I just am very competitive by nature. I always have been. So yeah, like I'm delighted to get the win and get my 21st title, but I kind of nearly immediately just start thinking about the next one. Like, and each game I just want to keep improving and performing better. And I know like there are a lot of great players out there, so I just have to work hard in training to try to keep an edge.
Does it motivate you more that you see these great young players coming up, or more so that you're trying to get better and you're trying to achieve more championships?
Yeah, kind of both, to be honest. Like, I'm always impressed with how the standard keeps improving. So I know that like with more experience and things like that, that they're going to develop their games a lot. But I think actually I really missed traveling to tournaments during the pandemic, but maybe the break did me good as well, because I feel quite fresh and, you know, I'm really enjoying playing. I'm really enjoying training as well. I'm probably training a bit less now, like volume-wise, but again, like trying to have higher quality sessions.
The WPH and all the fans and handball really missed you for these 2 years, and we're so glad to have you back. We saw a little bit of you on social media. You did a Wednesday workout for the WPH, and you also did a game where you were hitting the ball against the wall in Ireland. So what was it that you were able to do? You mentioned that you took a little bit of a break, but what did you do to be able to stay so sharp? And it seems like you're playing just as well, if not better, than ever.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did take a break. During, say, the first lengthy lockdown at home, I'm a teacher, so I was actually working from home. I moved from Dublin back to Ballydesmond in County Cork with my family, and my sister was there as well, so we kind of kept each other motivated in terms of like doing some fitness training, like HIIT workouts and yoga together. And you know, when you have somebody kind of holding you accountable, like saying, you know, at 11 o'clock today we're going to do this, and you just turn up then. So that was good, just to keep things ticking over fitness-wise. And again, it gave me some time to reflect on my game and kind of watch back some videos with a bit more distance. Like sometimes I watch my videos and I'm like really critical and kind of maybe there's still too much emotion attached to it. So I was able to watch a bit more like as if it wasn't me playing, just like seeing what I was doing well and not so well. And yeah, I think I got a good perspective on the game in general. Like, it just makes me appreciate that I am so lucky to get to travel to these tournaments. Kind of when that was taken away, then you realize like all the great times you've had. So I'm delighted to be back.
And sometimes when you take time away, you watch yourself and you say, wow, I'm pretty good. As opposed to when you watch the match back the day later, a couple of days later, and you say, oh, I can't believe I missed that shot, or didn't hit that shot.
Definitely.
So I think you start to kind of appreciate not just coming to the tournaments, but you appreciate, and I know you would never say this, but appreciate how good you are. Because you watch yourself on video and you say, wow, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, none of us are going to play perfectly, and it's that old thing of like, oh, I play so much better in training, but like when you're in the heat of battle as well, like everybody makes mistakes, so you kind of have to cut yourself some slack and just kind of see, you know, where can I go and how can I get better.
Talk about the time that you had at home, because I know you moved from Dublin back to home in Ballydesmond. You got to spend some time with your family. What was that like?
Yeah, like it was strange because we had no idea, like everyone else in the world initially, how long this was going to last for. So I remember like being in school one day and kind of the news was breaking that the schools were going to be closed, and we had to like frantically prepare work to send home with kids and send their books home, and it was all very rushed. And then we had to get used to like using online platforms and things like that. But again, we thought like it might be for a few weeks, and then after the Easter holidays that we'd be back again. But anyway, it ended up we weren't back in the classroom till September. So we were back then until Christmas time, and again we were out from. We were supposed to go back in January, and we weren't back again until March. So it was kind of 2 spells of it. So yeah, like looking back, it was great to get all that quality time with my family as well, but it was kind of a stressful time for everyone at the same time.
Well, I've seen you work with kids. You came to Tucson in the summer of 2014, just amazing with kids. So how much
Thank
do you
you.
enjoy, working with kids? Now you're a fourth grade teacher.
Yeah, I do really enjoy it. The previous 3 years I was in first grade, so it was a bit of a jump for me. But it's interesting, like I enjoy the subject matter a bit more, like in terms of like history and geography. Sometimes I'm learning new things myself as well. And I've recently started doing handball with my class as well for PE, so they're really enjoying it with like the big ball. And I kind of give them all one, and they can find their own space in the PE hall and practice, and they're really enjoying it. They're taking to it really quickly, so we're doing that on a weekly basis at the moment.
Oh, that is very cool.
Yeah.
So do they have a chance to watch you play? Did you tell them you were coming
I
for a tournament?
actually didn't, because I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. But when I go back now, I can maybe show them some of the games.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
By the way,
exactly.
I just won this championship.
I'm not setting any expectations, so now I can bring them good news. But I'm sure they'll be very interested. The risk is then though that like they'll be like Googling stuff, and they'll probably find some games in there that didn't go so well.
There aren't many of those. So upcoming, you've got Salt Lake City. I know that's one of your big events. You have never lost there. You've won every women's race players championship from 2014 to 2019. Unfortunately, we missed it in 2020 and 21. Talk about how much you're looking forward to that event. Not just that, but possibly those Thursday field trips that we've taken there in the past.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. Like I was hoping to go to the Nationals in December, but it just didn't work out. I kind of didn't make my decision until pretty close to the tournament. But so for this one, I was afraid to get too excited. We needed a negative COVID test to fly to the US. And it had to be 24 hours beforehand. So I only did my test on Wednesday, and I was like feeling fine, but you never know if you could be asymptomatic. And I'm in the classroom every day, so yeah, I was delighted when that came through, and then finally I could get excited about coming. So hopefully, things are on the up, and like restrictions are being lifted a bit more now back home as well. So I'm really looking forward to Salt Lake. And in the meantime, at home we'll have the All-Ireland Championship. So that's going to be tough, but looking forward to it. So then Salt Lake will be a great trip after that.
And then we're hoping to see you at the Nationals in June, and also hopefully for an icebreaker event in Tucson, where I know that you would probably love those courts just as much as anyone. Yeah,
that would be amazing. Like, I love coming to Tucson, and I love the handball community there. And yeah, I've never been to the 3 wall courts. They look fantastic, and I've watched games online as well from there, so that would be brilliant. I'd love to enjoy some Tucson sunshine.
You brought your boyfriend here, Connor.
I did.
And you guys have had a great time doing some sightseeing here in Houston, and then also he had a chance to watch you play. Do you think that helps your game, or does that make you more nervous?
No, I think it helped, definitely. And he played a bit when he was younger himself, so we're all trying to convince him now to get back training a bit and maybe compete in a tournament, maybe Salt Lake or the Nationals or something. But yeah, no, it's been really fun. And I've been telling him for a long time about all my friends over here, so it's really nice to introduce him and for him to finally be able to put faces to the names as well.
Will you be more nervous watching him play in a tournament match if he enters than any match you've probably ever played?
I definitely would, because I remember when my brother John used to play, it used to be really tough to watch, because you can't control anything that's going on, so it's definitely easier to play. And I appreciate how hard it is for my parents at home watching. They're always watching the webcast, no matter what time it's being streamed at. And I'd say I've given them some near heart attacks, but they enjoy it.
You can't understand it until you have your own and then watch them.
I
how
bet.
nerve-wracking it is.
Yeah, and you only want the person to do well for themselves. That's
right.
what I have learned, because I suppose in the past when I was younger I'd feel like I'd let everyone down, that kind of way, but they don't. They just want you to do well for you, They're just there to support you.
Okay, so you've won all these championships, 21 women's race freight titles, you've won multiple USHA championships, you've won the All-Ireland, you've not yet won the World Championship, and I know how much that one means to you. But are there certain records that you've researched that you're trying to break in women's handball?
No, there isn't really, because I just focus on the next one in front of me, and like, you just never know, I suppose, in sport, like how long you will be able to play for. Like, you know, people get injured all the time. So like, I'm delighted with what I've won so far, and definitely the Worlds is one that still stings a bit. Like, I would have been looking forward to that happening in 2021 in Ireland, but like we've said, the whole world was disrupted, and you know, a lot worse things happened in the last couple of years. So there's a bit of uncertainty as to when they will happen again, but I'll be looking forward to having another chance. There's no guarantees, but it would be nice to add that. Definitely kind of get that monkey off my back.
Some fans may not know, but you're also extremely skilled in 3-wall and 1-wall with the big ball and the small ball. So have you given thought to going to maybe the 1-wall nationals or the 3-wall nationals with the big ball or the small ball? Because you know, you'd have a very good chance at winning any of those titles.
Oh, thank you. I definitely loved when we had those crossover tournaments, when it was like big ball and small ball, like Venice Beach. That was one of my favorite tournaments all time. But I kind of play, I would say my main game, of course, is 4-wall, and I kind of look at the other codes then as a bit more fun and put a bit less pressure on myself. And you know, it's a new challenge. And again, you can take things from playing 3-wall or 1-wall and implement them into your 4-wall game as well. But of course, I'd love to travel to every single tournament, but just with work, it's tricky. I would like to go to Toledo definitely sometime to experience that. And I've played a little bit of 1-wall in New York, just like pickup games and stuff, and that was really fun. Like, there's so many players there that are amazing that don't necessarily travel out of there. So that would be really cool. But definitely if I was going to the 1-wall nationals, I would need to put in significant training beforehand and not just turn up.
The one game I think the Americans are least familiar is the Big Alley, the 60 by 30. How important is that title to you? I know you've won it several times, and I think maybe you just lost the last one recently, but how much, where does that sit for you in terms of your goals?
Yeah, it's definitely important to me. I enjoy it. It's a change, you know, it kind of, it's nice to have different seasons, and, you know, but again, like the small alley, as we might call it at home, I love the opportunities to travel, like, and playing on the tour here over the last, like, 8-9 years has been a big part of my adult life, and I've loved it. So that's great, but I do love the tradition of the Big Alley at home as well, and I enjoy playing singles and doubles with my partner Ashton O'Keefe as well in that. So,
how much does that Big Alley translate to playing 3-wall in your experiences? I know you've played 3-wall at Venice Beach, you've played a couple other spots in Southern California. You've played 3-wall on different types of courts, with the short side wall, the long side wall, the ceiling, no ceiling. How does that compare to the Big Alley?
Good question. I suppose kind of your strength, like hitting the ball overhand deep, that probably helps. And just being comfortable in different types of courts, like you said, just being kind of adaptable and having versatility. And like, it is such a big court that it does help to cut the ball off and take the ball on the fly, and of course that's very effective as well when you're playing 3-wall with no back walls. So, but yeah, I definitely prefer 3-wall with the longer side walls because it's more similar. And then in the Big Alley, you can't hit the roof. There's no ceiling, so no ceiling shots, which I suppose is sometimes the case again, but I like when there's a little bit of ceiling in the 3-wall, and that's a good shot, like fist to the ceiling and put the ball way back.
Let's talk about how it all started for you in handball. You mentioned your brother. He was a very good player. You watched him. Did you start at the same time as him?
I did. So he would have been 10 and I was 8 at the time. And yeah, like our local club, Ballydesmond Handball Club, like Tony Healy came from there. So it's a strong club, and like it's always had a good tradition there. But my parents never played or anything like that. And my dad might have kind of, you know, for fun with his friends just off a random wall. But yeah, like we'd be a very kind of sporty family in general. And yeah, I just remember my brother starting and I kind of just wanted to copy him. And at the time there weren't really girls playing in the club at all. But again, my doubles partner, Ashton O'Keefe, we're in the same class in school. Like there's 4 days between us, like our birthdays, and yeah, we started playing at a similar time, and we've always played together ever since, and we just loved it. Like I said, there weren't girls in our club. There weren't really girls in our county in Cork at all, so we used to actually compete against the boys for the county championship every January, so that's what we'd be building up to, and I think that was really good for our development overall, because we used to have really good games, and sometimes we'd win the final. We usually made the final anyway, so it's good.
I don't think I've ever seen you play when you weren't enjoying yourself. Has there ever been a time when you felt like, I just don't want to play?
Yeah, there definitely, not so much not want to, but kind of just be putting too much pressure on myself, that I was just trying to be too perfect. And I think now since I've come back, I'm like a lot more okay. Like, I probably definitely actually had a fear of losing, and then I probably lost, and that kind of got rid of the fear, because I was like, life goes on, you know, you just move on to the next tournament and you learn from it. So I'm like a lot less afraid of making mistakes, and I'm trying, you know, to go for more kills and stuff, and if I miss them, I miss them, just on to the next shot. So in that sense, I think I'm enjoying it more.
In terms of the handball balance, are you playing how many matches a week, and do you go in and practice by yourself? What does that routine look like?
I'm playing about 2 or 3 times a week at the moment, and mostly matches against other players. I used to do a lot more skill sessions by myself. When I do go home to Ballydesmond, maybe once a month or that's what I would do, all right, and just practice. And I do love that. That's like my happy place, really. Like, I just could stay there forever, like, and just throw the ball around. But yeah, recently it's been mostly games, and yeah, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Like the last couple of weeks, I felt like I wasn't playing that much. But then again, you're coming in fresh to the tournament as well. So it's funny, I've been playing for so many years, but you're still kind of learning like what works best and things like that. Sometimes less is more.
So many people know your stats by heart. They can say that you're, 21 titles, 70-2 record. I showed your boyfriend the stats last night at dinner, and I could see his eyes just kind of getting bigger and bigger. He couldn't believe it. But I think what stands out to me most is 200,000 miles you've traveled to play in these 23 women's race for 8 stops. It's very, very inspiring as a fan, and also as an administrator running these events. I mean, we're so grateful that you're willing to do that, because it's not easy to get on a plane and fly for 10 hours or 20 hours and then do it again 3 days later on your way home.
Yeah, no, I love it though. Like, I suppose probably, again, something we all took for granted, and you'd be kind of complaining, oh, jet lag, and oh, the flight was so long and boring. But this time when I was getting on the plane, I was like looking out the window, so excited, like just sitting back watching my TV shows. So it was brilliant. Yeah, I won't take it for granted again, definitely.
Well, we certainly do not take having you on the tour for granted. It's a privilege to have you. Thank you for sitting down for this deep dive, and we're going to look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thanks so much. I can't wait.
Okay.